Somebody needs a headset. Anyone else need a headset for Hungarian?
Però c'è davanti prima di me prova under M grande devono essere autorevoli.
W-A-M capital world W-A-M India W-A-M and then lowercase E-E-I-A exclamation yes.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, someone's been on holiday, Franco. Thank you for coming along today. Obviously, we've got Sebastian Coe, newly elected president of World Athletics for the next 4 years. We have Adam Schmidt, who is the co-chair of the local organising committee, and we have Balázs Nemeth, who is the CEO and is a font of every piece of knowledge. I've never seen a CEO that knows so much. But we're going to everyone wants to say a few words, and then we'll open the floor to all of you to ask questions. The usual, tell us who you are in case we don't know, and your name in case we're blinded by the light. Seb.
Jackie, thank you. And thank you all for taking time out to be here today. It is actually a week ago that I arrived in Budapest. The first morning I met with the mayor. The second morning I met the president. And from those opening moments, those opening salvos, it's been pretty clear to me that we are in a World Championship city and a city that really wants us here. I think the branding to start off with has been outstanding. I mean, literally the moment you arrive at the airport, the journey from the airport into the city centre, and then the branding in the city, the trams, the buses. This is a really important element. People often overlook this, but actually, really, it's of psychological comfort to the athletes and the performers that they're in a city that they know is proud to be staging the event. And secondly, we know that that's also totemic of the other elements of work that are taking place. From the fan zones as well, I think we're going to have a championship that really is going to sit comfortably in this city. And I know that we're working with, I have to say it, one of the best local organising committees that it's been our privilege to work with. Our teams have regularly had site visits over the last few years. They have reported back to me on each of those occasions. I also have been here to see the development, particularly the construction and completion of the stadium. And I'd just like to thank my two colleagues that share this platform with me, because the work that has been done, both internally to the teams and the work that's been done externally with all our public authorities and the other stakeholders, has been of an outstanding quality. So I'm delighted that Balázs, you're with me. It does occur to me that if any of you ever doubt or are in doubt of the name of anybody in this city, if you call them Balázs, you have a 3 in 5 chance of being right. And I'm delighted that Adam is here as the co-chair and was with me when I met both the mayor and the president. I'm particularly pleased that these are the first World Championships that are going to be delivered under our World Athletics Sustainability Strategy, and that matters to me. I know it matters to 75–80% of the athletes, because they have, in recent surveys, been very clear that climate change and issues around sustainability really do matter to them. 75% of them have said that climate change has already impacted one way or the other on their competition and their training programs. And I'm particularly delighted that, and this is something that I've always felt very strongly about for many years, that the focus of the legacy of this for these championships in this city is a real focus on physical activity, or probably more the pathology of physical inactivity. I'm also pleased that, working together with the organising committee, we've managed to put together a timetable of events, particularly over the first couple of days, that gets into the championships in a very quick and exciting way. The first day we have four world championship finals. The shot put, the 20k men's walk, the 10,000 for women, and the 4x4 mixed relays. And look, I think you have to say that for all the assets I hope that I've just briefly touched upon, and the outstanding performance of our athletes this year, 7 world records already, and a cluster of personal best, seasons best, area records, and meeting records. I think that the athletes are, I have to say, in the form of their life. We've got some outstanding performances, and most pleasingly, we really do have some very big head-to-heads. This is the 40th anniversary of our first World Championships. I dare say there are a few that were there in 1983, but I'm guessing even fewer would have imagined that these championships would have gone from roughly 150 countries and about 1,300 athletes to tipping 2,000 athletes and well over 200 countries in that space of time. We've got 1,500 broadcasters and members of the media here, and we really do have a whole group of overseas visitors, given the proximity to such strong athletics markets that there is obviously in Budapest and more broadly in Hungary. So that really sort of, I hope, sets the scene, but I have to say that I'm having done an executive board, 2 days of council, a convention and 2 days of congress. I'm really relieved that the athletics is starting tomorrow. Thank you very much.
And thanks, Seb. I'm sorry, Adam, I owe you an apology. I know you're not co-chair, you are chairman. So sorry about that. But if you've got a few words you'd like to say.
You can blame her for that, Adam.
I would like to welcome the representatives of the international and national press. My pronunciation is not so perfect like the president, so please forgive me. Hungary is experiencing history days as we are able to host the biggest international sporting event of the year. In recent years, we have hosted a number of major competitions, world and European championships, but this will be the biggest sporting event of all time in our country. I know that World Athletics expects a lot from us, above all to fill the wonderful National Athletics Center with fans and to make as many people as possible fall in love with athletics. Well, Usain Bolt once said, "Desire is the key to success." On behalf of the organizing team, I can say that we are more than ever eager to earn the satisfaction of the International Federation, but we also have the same desire to organize a World Championship that all our Hungarians can be proud of. In addition to the pride of hosting the event, it is also a great opportunity for Hungary and the entire Hungarian sporting scene. The construction of this wonderful venue, the National Athletics Center, where the superheroes of athletics will compete in the upcoming days, is due to the World Championships. A true miracle has been built on the site of a former closed, polluted industrial site. The center will be a new home not only for Hungarian athletics, but for all sports lovers. The running circuit with a panoramic view on Budapest and the sports and leisure park around the center will be free for all to use after the conclusion of the event. I hope that in addition to the experience of the World Championship, this unique venue will inspire many people to get moving, to challenge and overcome themselves, and to become everyday heroes. It is this desire that drives us. The stunning venues at the National Athletics Center and in the History Center of Budapest are ready and waiting. Along with tens of thousands of Hungarian and international fans, we are also waiting with great performance for the superheroes, the world records, and of course, Hungarian records. I wish you all a lifetime experience in the 9 days ahead. Let's crown the Queen of Sports together. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks, Adam. Balázs.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the LOC, I would like to welcome you to Budapest. It's a great pleasure to see you and to meet you here in my home country. I worked in the media in the last 25 years, so it's personally very, very important for me to meet your needs. I will do my best in the next 9 days. I have a dream, which is a shared dream with my team, and I hope it's a shared dream with the Hungarian people. We would like to organize a special event, a memorable, non-average, unique World Championships. And we have ideas why and how can be Budapest 23 a special one. meanwhile, we are focusing on the 9 days long competition. And of course, we can't wait to see the marvelous, brilliant performances of the superheroes, but we need something more in 9 days. First of all, we try to offer experience and fun to everyone who comes into contact with this event, with the World Championships. Fun, experience, memorable moments. That's why we built 2 fan zones, one in the downtown and the other one not far away next to the stadium, in the stadium park. We organize entertaining programs before and after the sessions. Medal Plaza is also an innovation. The medal ceremonies will take place in the Medal Plaza outside the stadium, next to the stadium, close to the stadium, in the stadium park. Coaches get the same medal, absolutely the same medal as the athletes. It's also a new thing and an innovation. And of course we have Yoo-Hoo, the Ratska ship, or mascot. I think this is the best ever mascot of the world. And there will be some more surprises during the event. Legacy, which is a key word for World Athletics and also for the LOC. I want to see and I want to feel the results, the consequences, the influence of this event for years. Not only here in Hungary, but probably worldwide. Health legacy, well-being legacy. We would like to encourage people to do active sport, to start doing active sport. That's why we launched the School Heroes program and the Everyday Heroes program, and we introduced the worldwide unique ticketing strategy, where whoever is doing active sport can buy tickets and packages much cheaper than the regular price, 50% cheaper. It's a new idea and it works. Legacy. Thousands of people who are living with difficulties also have the opportunity to be here and to witness the wonder. Usually, VIP guests and high-ranking politicians watch sporting events from the best sectors in the home straight, but not here. We have dedicated sector to those people who otherwise would not be able to come to be here. Sustainability is also very important for us. We planted trees. We provide public transport passes and tickets for team members, for media members, for volunteers. And as Adam mentioned, this area was a brownfield area a few years ago, the National Athletic Center, and it will be a recreation area after the World Championships, the new sports and leisure park of Budapest. And last but not least, let's talk about the tickets. A few sentences. My main goal is to maximize the number of spectators in the stadium. Ticket sales is over 85%, and it's still going up really fast. So I'm delighted, and I hope we are all delighted.
Thanks, Balázs. And
Believe me, Balázs, we are.
We are. Well, we heard there was over fans from over 100 countries have bought tickets. Is that right? That's
over 106 countries have bought tickets, and I think we are on the right path and we are going to the right direction. Thank you, your trust and your support. We will do our best in the next 9 days.
fabulous. Thank you. So it's over to you. If you could just put your hand up, just wait for the microphone because others are recording. Okay, well, let's start at the very back and then we will come forward to you. So keep your hand up so they know where to take the microphone. It's probably pointless me putting my hand up.
Thank you very much. My name is Grum Saifu from Ethiopia. Congratulations, Mr. Sebastian, for elected president. My question is, when is Africa will host such a championship? Because Africa have a great result on this World Championship. Who do you think that the countries have the potential and what they can learn from Hungary hosting this event? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Look, I've been really clear. It is my ambition to see a World Championship, a senior outdoor World Championship. We've had 2 editions of the World Cross Country Championships in Africa, 2009, I think, in Kenya. 2018 in Kampala in Uganda. And we've had an under 18 and an under 20 championships now in Nairobi, and each one of those editions has been hugely successful. The staging of a World Championships is complicated wherever it is staged. We have spoken at some length to the African Confederation, and we've had lengthy discussions, particularly with the federation in Kenya, about the potential for a championships in Africa. So yes, we're certainly not opposed to that concept, and it would be a natural extension of the globalization of our sport. Africa is a continent that has produced some extraordinary athletes. You know, their history is our history is their history, and it's important that we do everything we possibly can to make sure that the conditions are right for that to happen.
Thank you. Gentleman in the black T-shirt.
Yeah,
Keep talking, they'll find you.
got it. This is Anderson Emerald, the final leg. Question just again for Seb. You've been speaking about an event in 2026 in the off years potentially, and yesterday I think you mentioned that if it's successful, you might have it every year. I'm curious on how that event might be big enough to continue to generate interest in our sport, but then maybe not conflict with like World Championships, Olympics, if it does it for every year.
Yeah, and that would be the challenge, but I don't think it's a challenge we should shirk. We don't have enough opportunities for our athletes at the very highest level to shine over a format in that way. And the format is still being worked through. But my idea and the idea of our teams is really that we have something that showcases the best athletes. It is unashamedly a TV product as well. So we want to make sure there's entertainment value, that it focuses on the best of the best. And that's what we're working for 26. It happens to be, I've used the word fallow, but actually there are very few fallow years because you have a comprehensive Diamond League program, you have a growing number of Continental Tour events, and of course it'll be a little bit insulting to describe a fallow year that contains the European Championships as well. But I think you understand, I hope you understand, that our ambition is really to give the athletes a yearly profile, to do what we can to extend the season. If we're being blunt, it really is a sort of May to September. And actually, perversely, climate change will, I think, give us those opportunities to extend the season at both ends, but certainly the opportunity to have athletes competing at the highest level, and actually to continually to do what we can to boost their prize money and their financial security.
Thank you. I'm going to go with what you're wearing because it's easier. So, blue, hand raised. Yes, Rob, you. Blue, red, check shirt. Ish.
Great. Well, that helps me massively.
Yeah, we only need to help the volunteers.
A question for Seb. It's Rob Moore from The Sun.
Yeah, hi. Nice shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Just to expand what you spoke about at Wimbledon last month and the future of this event in a climate change decade, rising temperatures.
Was that when I was queuing to get in with you?
Yeah. But how do you see this event in the next couple of decades? We've seen warm temperatures across southern Europe. We've seen wildfires in various parts of the world. Is it going to be a particular event where you may not have to go to certain countries? Will certain events have to move to other times of the year? How do you see the world athletics in the next 40 years with global change?
Where would I start? You know, I genuinely don't think governments are going to meet any of the targets that are being identified out there. And this is very much a personal view. I'm not speaking on behalf of World Athletics. It's something that are going to have to figure this out for themselves, because I don't think we can rely on governments to remotely get to grips with this. I don't think there's going to be a massive shift in reality in the next few years. So what do I have to be concerned about? I'm always concerned about the welfare of the athletes. As I said in my opening remarks, 75% of our athletes actually will now tell you that global warming climate change has in one way or another impacted on their competitive and their training programs. There are countries, it'll be beyond my mandate, but there are countries in our federations that will probably not be in existence in the next 20 years because of rising sea levels. So, you know, we have a challenge everywhere we look. The welfare of the athletes, for me, has always to be primary. And can we continue to ask athletes to be, it's certainly in some of the road events, and look, we've seen, I was in Eugene only a couple of years ago during the Olympic trials. You know, the temperature started out mid-30s. By the time I left those championships, we were rescheduling the 10,000 meters because it had got to 44. And that's, you know, the relatively equable climate of Portland, so of Oregon. So, look, you know, we are going to have to think about this. And maybe some of our endurance events, particularly the road, need to be staged at times of the year where you're not putting the athletes at risk. And maybe, again, there are branding issues. John, our CEO, sitting at the back there, he'll probably be wincing at the thought of what I'm about to say. But maybe we are going to have to include some of those events inside the big city marathons. You know, it's not beyond the wit and wisdom of all of us to figure this out. But look, this is a challenge that isn't going to go away. And, you know, we've never shirked the difficult decisions. And it really doesn't matter. Are there countries that we're not going to be able to go to? Well, climate change is affecting everybody. You know, whether it's forest fires, flooding, you know, landslides, we've got problems here. And it's not limited to those areas that we were instinctively having to figure out 20 or 30 years ago. It's on our own doorstep everywhere.
Thank you. Larry, brown and white striped shirt, videoing everything. There you go.
This is for Adam Schmidt, Larry Eater with Run Blog Run. Adam, what was the most difficult thing when you started pitching your country on doing a World Championships? Obviously, this is the biggest sporting event you've had in Hungary. What was the most difficult thing to convince the government, local government, and your federal government about supporting such a global event?
If it's not a problem, I will answer by Hungarian. Okay?
Yep. We're going to do it in Hungarian. If everyone puts their headsets on?
Yes.
Perfect, yes.
Köszönöm a megtisztelést.
Thank you for the honoring question. I feel a little bit more confident if I have to speak my mother tongue. Apart from being the State Commissioner of this event, in the past 14 months I was also responsible for the development of Hungarian sports. I believe that both tasks are a service, and I would like to bring the best of my knowledge to both tasks. I believe the first step to your question is to build a team which one by one is dedicated and does everything in order to organize a unique and extraordinary World Championship. That is why I'm very happy to have Balázs alongside, and we also established very good links with the International Federation and all stakeholders that participate in the staging of this World Championship. Since 2010, we have a government in Hungary which believes that sports is an outstanding field in Hungary, so a lot of issues in terms of sports diplomacy reach us. In terms of facility development in Hungary since 2013, this is another fantastic facility in the heart of which we find ourselves. I believe that this facility will also prove to be excellent at the World Championship. We did our best to achieve this, and I believe that in the popularization of this event, everybody we contacted was collaborative, was supportive, and I dare state that everybody in Hungary wants this World Championships to be successful. And the past 13 years
have
proved that Hungarians love and know about sports. Based on ticket sales, the feedback to us is that Hungarians love athletics, which we believe to be basic sports. And we are very happy to host this event. We would like to sit here in front of you within 10 days' time to evaluate this event, and hopefully we will be just as satisfied with the result of these 9 days.
Forward to 10 days' time evaluation. We'll do Franco here. So the grey shirt, two pairs of glasses.
Franco Fava, Corriere dello Sport. Just 3 short questions to Seb. Just briefly going back to the climate change problem, not just for athletics, but if I remember well, the next World Championship in Tokyo will take place mid-September.
Slightly later.
So one solution could be to have this major championship late in the season, as also the European Athletic Championship in Rome will take place at the beginning of June next year. And also for the 2027 World Championship edition, it seems to be that already 3 cities are bidding to get this championship: Rome, Istanbul, Dubai, I guess. So one solution could be to move before the hot season or just at the end of the hot season. And then the final question is, what is the progress to have the cross-country competition in Los Angeles?
I won my bet.
And finally, are you happy with the solution in Paris, how to call it, the mixed marathon walk race? Don't you sound strange to have a mixed walk race long as a marathon is, which traditionally and historically marathon means 42 kilometers, 195 meter running, not walking. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Okay. Look, later in the season, yes, Tokyo is going to be later next year. I think 13 to 22, 23, something like that. But yeah, it will need to be. And we've recognised that, and there will be occasions when we're going to look at particular cities and climatic conditions and say maybe earlier in the season. But I think it's, if I may say so, I think it's all part of the challenge that I talked about in answer to the last question. And yeah, we've got the 27 World Championships. The bidders are absolutely, truly global. I can't remember a time where we've had a broader range of bidding cities, and in a cross section of continents as well. So depending upon who emerges from that, I'm sure that we will also want to look at staging the event. I mean, one of the elements that we are going to have to look at is calendar coordination. I mean, alongside being able to maybe disentangle some of our endurance events and to put them into better moments, we will also have to look at the calendar of our events, and that, I think, is probably going to be the work of the new council over the next couple of years. So, yep, we've got that. And cross country, look, I've long believed that cross country actually had should have its place back in the Olympic movement. It left the Games in Paris in 1924. In fact, my very first club chairman, Hallamshire Harries in Sheffield, actually shows my age, but he actually competed for Great Britain in the last edition of the World Cross Country Championships, which was a 10K 6-mile relay in Paris. It was, interestingly, it was also affected quite badly by heat, so I don't want to quite argue too strongly against my own proposition a few moments ago. So, yeah, I mean, cross-country, we've had good discussions with the International Olympic Committee. We've had good conversations with the LA 28 organising committee. They remain in place, and we'll see what we can do. Look, the situation around racewalk, I'll be blunt. It's up in the air. The IOC will make a judgment after Paris about all of the through its program commission about disciplines and sports going forward. It was a request, effectively, of the International Olympic Committee that we had a mixed relay. As you know, the adaptations we've made to our own race walk program gave us the flexibility to do that. It's not a perfect solution, but it is, it was, the realities of what we were working with. And I think, given those strictures, I think it's probably the best that we could probably do.
Thanks, Franco. So, Mitch, white polo shirt, very short shorts.
Excuse me. Thank you. Mitch Phillips from Reuters. Question for Seb. 40 years ago, we had the first championships in Helsinki with a fantastic tradition of javelin, had a great javelin competition. And now we've got the tournament back here with a fantastic tradition of field events, and hammer particularly. And field events have struggled a bit over the years. How important for you, or how excited are you to see field events kind of in the forefront and part of the advertising campaign and everything after its struggles in recent years?
Well, in a way, it's sort of summed up in a way, in a personal perspective. Yeah, I remember I wasn't actually at the World Championships in '83. I was injured. My record in World Championships is not great. I was injured in '83. I was ill in '87. I'd retired by '91. So it wasn't, I'm slightly in awe of all the people that did manage to win World Championships around me. But look, it's quite an admission from a track man, and particularly a middle distance runner, to say that actually the event, on balance, I've most looked forward to in the last few editions of our World Championships has been the men's shot put. The final in Doha in 2019 was just off the planet in terms of competition. We witnessed it again with a world record in Eugene. So, having the men's shot put, that early on in these championships is really important. And we are in a country where field events has been hugely important. And, if I think back to my early years in cutting my teeth in international competition, some of the outstanding competitors in the field were Hungarian. So, yeah, it's really on the move again.
The mic is there.
Sorry, and just to perhaps ask Adam for his thoughts about the preeminence of field events and hammer, particularly in your home championships, if that's clear. Sorry.
Köszönöm a kérdést.
Thank you for the question.
Az új sportirányítás az elmúlt egy évben egy
new sports management over the past year has come up with a new competitive, encouraging program, incentive program. So we've put athletics in a new hat, to put it this way. That's a very high-ranking position. So the Hungarian Federation's goal for this year is to have a record lineup for the championships, and we've managed to do so. Congratulations to all the participants who have registered for the championships. As for the hammer throw, Hungarians love to celebrate. I think that's the case with everyone. And in the men's hammer throw is where we stand the best chance of winning. And also we're celebrating on the 20th of August the foundation of the Kingdom of Hungary. So Hungary's birthday could be marked by a beautiful result.
Fabulous, thank you. Gentleman, green shirt, Red Bull Racing cap.
Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Daniel from South Africa. Just going a bit to the first question that was asked in the House about, future host. Since I came here in Budapest, I've actually drawn quite a number of similarities with South Africa in terms of being a host for major sporting events. And like I would think maybe Seb has also considered South Africa. You know, we just hosted the Netball World Cup, the 2010 Soccer World Cup, the rugby and the cricket. Yeah, maybe just a view on that. And then the second part of the question, maybe just to give us an update on the DSD regulations, for the fact that from South Africa's point of view, with this thing having been the subject of the court, like where we are at the moment after the recent pronunciation by the European Court. Thanks.
Okay. Seb, do you want to
Adam.
do Adam first?
Yeah, welcome to my world. So, no, I mean, when we talk about Africa, clearly, South Africa has a huge history and a growing history in track and field. You know, one of the powerhouses now of the sport, and whether sprints, fields, or field events or endurance, incredibly strong. And yes, you have a record of delivering big sporting events, some of them global and some of them at World Championship level. So, you know, when we do look towards an African venue, then I'm sure the African Confederation will want to consider all those centres, those areas, as the bigger population centres, and certainly the relevant market that would allow us to do that. The answer to your second question is, I'm afraid, a lot quicker. The regulations are here to stay. The ruling from the European Court of Human Rights related to the handling of the case through the Swiss courts, it was not a verdict on the regulations, and nor will I allow it to be.
Okay. Okay. Well, the tie. It has to be the tie.
Yeah, I'm colourblind. I can see that.
Thank you. It's Patrick Burke from Inside the Games.
Really?
You'd never have guessed. Just going back to your plans for the event in 2026, are there any concerns that you're perhaps overcrowding the calendar in terms of adding another event to what's already a very busy schedule? And how do you balance that between providing opportunities for athletes while not overburdening them with, obviously, the area championships and the World Championships, Olympic Games, etc.?
Actually, I tend to see it in a slightly different way, and I'm glad you mentioned the area championships, because that has to be one of our focuses going forwards. I think we recognise that the European Championships are a very high quality event. That's not to say that the other area events don't have that potential. My goodness, you know, if you look at the wealth of talent in NACAC or in Africa, and certainly the growing strength of athletics in Asia, but those area championships should be more reflective of the quality of that talent. And I think that if they improve both in presentation, in marketing, and frankly just in the way they come together, I think you'll probably get more athletes from those areas wanting to compete, and that's important. You know, the proposition is a very simple one. We want our athletes, particularly high-profile athletes, to be competing as close to home as possible. That's why we've trebled the number in the last couple of years of our continental tour events. So when it comes to the global event that we're talking about, I think there is space, and I think it's incumbent upon all of us in the sport to improve the quality of all our events and give as many opportunities. Athletes have always had to triage. They will always have to triage. The problem with the area championships is that I think for some of them it's been an easy option not to go because of maybe the service and the quality of those championships. I would prefer to give them tougher challenges and a tougher set of choices, because our events are getting better. But look, we can't have it both ways here. We want our athletes to compete more often, and on balance, I don't think they do. And we want the season to be longer, because May to September is not sustainable really, for, we've got other athletics events over the course of that period. We've got indoors, we've got cross country, we've got a growing interest in mountain and trail, but we have to be realistic about this, that, when you've got 1 billion people watching these World Championships, we need more of those occasions, not fewer. So, yes, there'll be a balance to be struck, but I think the top athletes are wanting more competition, and they're certainly wanting to derive greater financial security from our sport, and I can see no other way around that than staging these global events. We can't go missing. We can't go missing at any stage in our season. And if we can extend the season, then we've got the potential to actually grow the number of events.
Okay, I'm just going to go over to the left, come back. So, thanks, Martin.
Yes, thank you, Mario Nicoriello from Italy. A question for Mr. President. We were talking earlier about the next World Athletics Championships in 25 in September, but in the same year, in summer, there will be another good moment for the Olympic movement, the election of the new IOC president. Do you think that the position of IOC president could be a target for you personally in the next 2 years?
That was the other one I won. No, look, let me be absolutely clear. My focus was and remains absolutely entirely on serving my final mandate in this sport and completing, the program that I started. We reformed. We started the reforms in 2015, 2016. The second, and that was really preventing the ship from sinking. The second 4 years was about dealing with all the things that we, on balance, probably should have dealt with in earlier administrations. We didn't. Transfers of allegiance, calendar coordination, protecting the female category, making sure that we had our integrity processes in place, the recurring themes around Russia, all these things that you are familiar with. The third core element, and contrary to the belief of some people, you could not genuinely have addressed what we're about to address if we hadn't got those things in place. It would have been to put the cart before the horse. And so I'm comfortable now that we've got the building bricks in place, we've got the things that we needed to do in place, and we can really now genuinely focus on our competitive programs. What does that product look like? How do we meet more, the lifestyles of young people? When we talk about making our sport relevant in the lives of young people, we actually mean making it relevant to their lifestyles. And there are lots of things that we need to address and we can do. So I have to tell you, my focus is entirely on doing that. And, I haven't ruled it in, and I certainly haven't ruled it out. But that is, that's for another day.
Thanks, Seb. And then the chap next to you, to your right.
Hello, I'm Ismael Perez from Runners World in Spain. I want to know what are the plans of World Athletics about race walking after Paris Olympic Games? Thank you.
I think you'd be better addressing that to the International Olympic Committee.
Well, the Olympic Committee's the same people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think if it's about the Olympics and what they want to do, you probably need to talk to them directly. It's their event. Thank you. Yes, the gentleman in the black T-shirt that says Athletics Weekly on it.
Surprise!
Yay!
Hi, yeah, Steve Smythe, Athletics Weekly. As the question for Balaz, your namesake won Olympic gold medals in 48 and 1976. Has it made it more difficult to sell it to the Hungarian public, with Hungarian athletics maybe not being as good as it was 20, 30, 40 years ago?
But it can be as good as it was in a few years. We have 63 athletes in the National Athletic Stadium in the Hungarian national team. And I hope that all of them will be their personal best or the national best. And my job is to maximize the number of spectators. My job was to hype this event and to fill the stadium with Hungarian spectators and to help for the Hungarian athletes to compete here between the best circumstances.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to the back row and then we'll come down to the gentleman over there and then back here.
Hello, Peter Oliver from CGTN. Seb, question for you. You mentioned about the product. You mentioned this is what you're looking at, this mandate. Now, if I'm watching football, if I'm looking at the top European football, I know the Champions League's played on a Tuesday night and a Wednesday night. I'm going to watch that then. I couldn't tell you what night the Diamond League's going to be played on, what time, when it's going to be on. Is that something that you're going to be looking at addressing, that it becomes appointment viewing, that it becomes that point in the schedule that you know it's on at this time, on this date, you know you can go to your Diamond League and get it there and then?
Oh, that's going to take 2 hours. Well done, you.
No, it's not going to take 2 hours. The answer is yes. There has to be regularity. There has to be familiarity, and yeah, we need to look at that. I actually chair the Diamond League board. John Ridgen, our CEO, is on that board. We have a council member, Anna Riccardi, on that board, and the Diamond League board is very conscious that we need to try, where possible, to have, whether it's a Thursday night or Wednesday night. We do need to have that as being something that you were familiar with. It wasn't that long ago, and certainly, well, from a British perspective, you knew that during the summer months there was every chance on a Friday night on the BBC you would have athletics, and that's what people built their evenings around. And we need to get that. We need to get back to that. Free to air, by the way.
Yes, free to air. Thank you. Yes, the gentleman. Thank you. Can't see what you're
Daniel
wearing.
Wheeler from the Gleaner in Jamaica. Question for the president. With the for Circo.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah.
Sorry, I might be a little bit short, but
it's okay. I'm colourblind, so what shirt you're wearing is a struggle for me.
Sorry about that. With the World Relays coming to the Bahamas next year, do you feel that that's a kind of test to see where the Caribbean is as a possibility for having a major senior outdoor World Championships? And the second question is with Netflix having their series following the top stars in athletics coming next year, what do you think that it will have the same sort of effect that it did for Formula One, and how can World Athletics try and capitalize? Because there is always a concern since Usain Bolt retired that he haven't had that personality yet that driven the sports when he was competing. Thank you.
Yeah, look, we're delighted to be in the Bahamas next year. We started the World Relay started life in the Bahamas. It was always my intention, I think it was the council's intention, that in a way the Bahamas became the home of the World Relays. We had a break, particularly around COVID, and you had a change of government that took a different view of that. But we want to take relays to the cradle of relays interest, the Caribbean, North America, the southern states of North America. These are really important markets. Is everybody under scrutiny in a championship? Yeah, the way they're organised, the way that the community engages with them, everything from the use of volunteers through to the operational integration. It is a test, and of course the quality of those events is always taken into consideration when any host city, any community wants to stage our events. Netflix, I'm very pleased about, because what do I want out of it? I want people to understand the nature of our sport. I want to be able to lift the bonnet on our sport. I want to be able to show people, if it's about the sprinters, that there's more to it than watching, the world's fastest men or women, coming through a event presentation at the side of the track onto the track, and then burning up the track. And it's for most people it's a 10-second process. Our sprinters, like any other discipline, are probably working in and around 10, certainly more possibly 12, 14, 15 years to do that. And I think anything that gives and lends understanding to just exactly how talented they are, the personalities behind them. You've heard me say this before, but performance is your passport, but personality, passion is something that people really need to understand, and we have that in bucket loads in our sport. I think it's also going to be of interest to people that when you're looking at, if you look at that format in other sports, you're looking at a fairly limited range of people from a fairly limited range of countries. I was talking to the executive producer only the other day, and she was shocked by just how many really unbelievably interesting personal odysseys there are in our sport, about the way athletes have emerged through such diverse backgrounds and difficulties, adversity, cultural, political challenges, but also just the range of talent across so many different continents. This program is going to focus athletes from every one of our continents, and that is rare. And that is rare in any sport, and it's certainly one of the strongest assets we have in athletics.
Thanks, Seb. So Larry, brown and white striped shirt here. Then Mitch, was there someone over there? Yes, and we'll come to you. I think that's probably us done.
This is for this.
Keep talking and they'll find you.
Okay, this is for Seb. We just had a U.S. host the World Championships last year. And you have said, and Jackie has said on many occasions, that North America is obviously a big focus. But, and I'm going to use my words, and you don't even have to, it can be frustrating at times to stand out in the U.S. market. We've got an Olympics coming in L.A. in 2028. And we've got this incredible stadium in L.A., the Hilmer Lodge at Mount Sac. Do you believe that the U.S. could host another World Championships in that short of a time, or does it need to be shared around the world to keep the global track happiness going?
That's a good question. Do I want to see another World Championships in the US? Yes, of course I do. It's the largest sports marketing. It is the largest sports sponsorship market in the world, and track and field is a strong sport. And look, we need to be there. It's the holy grail. Every sport, particularly Olympic sport, needs to be there. And in my own time on the council, I've been to a 2014 Under-18 Championships in Eugene in 2014. 2016, we're in Portland for the Indoor World Championships. We were back, obviously, in Eugene last year. The council approved San Diego for our World Road Running Championships, and we're in Tallahassee in 26 for the World Cross Country Championships. So look, there are opportunities. I think the challenge is inevitably, and it's going east or west, it's about time zones and remembering where your big broadcast markets are and trying to balance that out. Maybe, and I'm now freelancing a little here, but my instinct is that if we do go back, I would like to explore with US Track and Field and any of the host city facilitators out there, and I know that's something that our internal teams would look at, that it's probably better to be Eastern Seaboard, so that we're not, for whatever gains you make by being in the US market, you are hitting other markets as well. So these are all the balances that need to be struck. But yeah, for sure, I would love to see a World Championships back in the US, but under the right conditions and with the right organising committee.
Thank you. Yes, Mitch, and then gentleman at the back.
Thank you. Seb, down here. This is probably 3 out of 3 for your guest questions, but...
Can I have a go? Can I have a guess?
Go on. What do you think?
Go on.
You said recently that embarrassing or bad headlines are the price that the sport pays for eternal vigilance. What sort of headlines are you going to be thinking about if you see Toby Amusan back racing, potentially winning, retaining a title days after she was she was banned?
Well, she's been through a process, and what I would say is up until relatively recently, well, until our reforms back in 2016 and the creation of the Athletic Integrity Unit in 2017, which I think has gone a long way to helping us repair the damage that was done and our reputation, I would say we fall behind the process. That process took her to the disciplinary tribunal. It made a judgment, and there will be an appeal process, no doubt. So, yeah, I'd much rather know that there is a process. I don't know, and quite rightly, you should be rightly worried if I were able to sit here giving you the details of that. Of course, I don't know. That's the whole nature of an independent integrity unit. But I'm going to sit and wait and see exactly what that process does. It's served us well in the past, and it'll serve us well at this moment.
At the back to your left.
Those are Wiley, Finland. Question to Mr. Coe. Anti-doping is, of course, handled by Athletics Integrity Unit, but I'd love to know your personal view that should the testing numbers made to each athlete be a public information like it is in the States, for example? USADA has made public quarterly amount of tests made to each athlete since 2013. So should, for example, Athletics Integrity Unit do the same?
No, look, I think the Athletic Integrity Unit is pretty transparent about what it does. I don't think that you need to maintain a running commentary. We have invested our confidence in that unit. It's gold standard. It's a gold standard unit. There's no better unit anywhere in the world, and it's done an extremely good job. I'm not sure that maintaining a running commentary on who is getting tested and the number of times they're getting tested is something that is necessarily in the interests of the athletes or the sport or frankly of interest to the public. What I am satisfied is that it's not really about the number of tests. We know that. We all sort of sat for far too long saying, oh, well, that's great. Sport does 30,000 tests. Well, if 90% of them are junk tests and unspecific and certainly not targeted, then it's a pretty meaningless statistic. So I think we've got the balance about right and maintain. You want to maintain. The Athletic Integrity Unit needs to maintain, some privacy about what it does because you don't want to share that information more widely. But I think that it also needs to take into consideration the privacy of athletes. Privacy is a pretty important concept in a world where privacy is disappearing pretty quickly in most places. So I think at this moment the balance is about right.
Okay, any one last burning question, or are we... Eddie, green polo shirt. Semi-burning, great.
Burning Man.
Do you have any thoughts? There are a couple pretty high-profile athletes that aren't going to be here, and a couple who are thinking about whether they're going to be here or not. And I was curious if you thought, we've obviously had World Championships and Olympics stacked up on each other because of COVID, or do you think there's a reason for that, or just one of those things, or
what that some of the athletes
that some of the bigger name athletes aren't showing?
Could be. I don't know. Look, no athlete at that level, and I know myself. I've pulled out of championships where I know that I'm just not either mentally or physically in the right shape, and you have to respect that judgment. We're not in a sport where we compel people to compete. And yeah, I guess a world champion, it's just the compaction that's taken place off the back of the Tokyo postponement. I said at the time, I don't think many people believe me, but I said at the time, that impact would, we'd be seeing that for a number of years. Now, the upside is that the way that the calendar has now fallen, we've got athletics centre stage for the next 4 or 5 years, in essence, right up to 28 in LA, and that's a good thing. But it was always going to pose athletes' challenges, and they've always had to triage. You know, I had to make some of those decisions myself as an athlete, and my coaching teams made those decisions. So yeah, I'm guessing that if you're an athlete that's not in 100% shape, you certainly don't want to go to a World Championships, and the fact that there is an Olympic Games next year is probably a confounding factor as well.
Well, thank you very much. I want to say thank you to the translators, also to the media relations team, thank you, and to all your volunteers. You can smile. Well done, thank you.